So there is one specific YouTube comment that I think about quite often, and it's maybe my favorite comment I've ever received on a video. It's a comment that I got about a month ago, and it's on a video that is really special to me. The comment says, "Every time someone mentions this book, I get more and more less interested in it." And it's about Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Hey, beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and as of either late last night or early this morning, my book review video of Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace reached 10,000 views on YouTube. And that's awesome and mind-boggling. That's the most successful a video of mine has ever been. And I never thought that I would make a video that got clicked on 1,000 times, let alone 10,000. It's humbling and motivating and fun. But there is also a small part of me that wants to be really quiet and to not celebrate that video or not celebrate that book, you know? Because Infinite Jest, despite how much I love that book, gets a hard knock sometimes. And people who love Infinite Jest get an even harder knock. And because there's that cliche about Infinite Jest in particular, or David Foster Wallace at large, about how if you're ever about to date a boy with Infinite Jest on his nightstand, you should run away very, very fast, because he's not going to want to talk to you about anything else. And because there are a lot of comments like that first one I mentioned, saying that they're tired of hearing about this book. They're getting more and more less interested in it. I would argue, and I think I would argue pretty convincingly, that Infinite Jest is both the most loved and the most hated book of the last 20 or so years. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I want to know why. So I'm here today to ask the questions that just keep bouncing around my head. Why do people love to hate Infinite Jest? And why do people love to hate the people that love Infinite Jest? Okay, so let's get settled really quickly on why people love Infinite Jest, so that then we can cover where the other pendulum swing comes from. This is going to be the part of the video that is maybe most easy for me because these are thoughts that I've felt. People love Infinite Jest because it was unlike any other reading experience they've had. It was special. People love it because they put massive amounts of effort into the book and they feel that their efforts were rewarded. People love it because they think that it uniquely speaks to mental illness or to entertainment or to addiction or American pop culture or something else. People love it because they feel less alone when they're in this world. For any number of these reasons, and probably for some other ones, people love Infinite Jest in a way that they don't really love other books. There's a fervor to it. There's a fever pitch about it. Okay, but then why do people dislike the book? Well, that is entirely the wrong question. I don't give a flying fart about why people dislike the book, because a hard fact of life is that people are going to dislike things that you adore. That's not even remotely interesting to discuss. But what is interesting, what's interested me for about the last 6 months, is why is there that same fervor, that same fever pitch when people hate the book, and when people hate the readers of this book? That's the interesting question. So, I did some research. I hopped in with both feet. I tried to, as very best as I possibly could, approach this situation with all the empathy that I could muster. Where is the hate coming from? Well, first off, that cliche about the boy that you don't want to date is a cliche because, well, it has some truth to it. A lot of the readers of Infinite Jest that I have met or that I've talked to are either female or older or just generally lovely people, but I have also met a few of the 20-something bearded dudes who look like they took philosophy classes in college and who are willing to mansplain to you a little bit. However, 90% of the people that I've talked to about this book are not those people. So let's recognize this for what it is, a stereotype, and let's move on. Where else is the hate coming from? What is the real reason that people feel so much disdain for the love of this book? You thought I was gonna say for the love of Ryan there, didn't you? That was a good joke. No, but I'm not clever enough to have said that. Well, second, and maybe more interesting to me, it seems that people don't hate the book so much as they hate the hype around the book. From the very beginning, Infinite Jest was under the control of the hype machine. When the book was first published, Little Brown sent out little postcard reminders to reviewers and booksellers that kind of counted down the book's release. And because the people who love the book really love the book, the hype machine is still alive and well today. Like, see for example the original video I made as a version of hype. And one type of cutting down response is to read the book and then decide for yourself if it lives up to the hype, to kind of set them side by side and compare the two. But there is one more type of cutting down response that I am exponentially more interested in. A type of cutting down that says much more about the commenter than it ever says about the thing that is being commented on. For instance, when a commenter writes, Every time someone mentions this book, I get more and more less interested in it. I don't want to make this about that commenter or about other comments like that. That's not the point of all of this. But the reason that I love this comment, that I think it's my favorite comment I've ever received, is the same reason I'm making this video. Because that comment is so meta and complicated and complex, either on accident or on purpose, that I just cannot help but fall down the rabbit hole and just keep considering over and over again this comment. There's this idea of David Foster Wallace's that shows up in Infinite Jest and also in some other places that has really stuck with me for about a year now. The idea is this, that irony, this historically very subversive tool for expressing discontent in political and cultural ways, has kind of disfigured itself, has grown into this ugly giant beast that's out of our control. And one of the prime ways that irony functions now, especially 20 years after the publication of this book, now that we're living in the internet age, is to battle enthusiasm. Irony looks straight into the face of enthusiasm, spits, and then says, I choose to remain cooler than you. I choose not to engage in your vulnerable enthusiasm. Instead, I'm going to remain safe and keep my distance. And for that reason, this comment says more about the love/hate, enthusiasm/ironic distance situation than any other single sentence that I've ever read. It is perfect. It's immediately dismissive. It's got that ironic wordplay of more and more, less interested. It suggests that the writer has much cooler, less vulnerable things to be doing. And above all else, it does all of these things while talking about a book that attempts to offer solutions to these things. This is such a beautiful set of circumstances, isn't it? Like, thank you, universe, for this beautiful poetic moment. I'm a big boy. I know that the moment that this video reached the top of the search pages for Infinite Jest on YouTube, that I gained some visibility and that I also opened myself up to these kinds of comments. And I know that I'll keep getting them. I know that the consequences of being vulnerable, either in person or in videos like this or in writing, are opening yourself up to ironic, cooler-than-thou comments from some portion of the population. But that does not stop me from staying vulnerable, staying enthusiastic, from talking about the things that I love, from making videos like this one. In fact, if anything, it's motivating. Thanks for sticking with me on this video, where I hope I at least cracked the surface of the question of why people hate this book so much, rather than just disliking it. That's really all that I've got. So if you've got thoughts, I would love to hear them down below. I will see you guys hopefully on Wednesday at 7 p.m. at our subreddit, and if not, then definitely next Monday. Stay enthusiastic. Best wishes! Hey beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and today is going to be a much more relaxed video. Remember about a month ago when I told you guys that I would be reading certain books, half of the books that you recommended and half of the books that I chose this summer in a certain order? I wanted to update you guys on that. This video has been on my mind in some fashion for the last 8 or so months. So, cheers to finally getting it done.